Welcome back to Tell the Truth, and let's meet our next team of challengers.
Number 1, what is your name, please?
My name is Bill Melton.
Number 2.
My name is Bill Melton.
Number 3.
My name is Bill Melton.
Okay, panel, it is up to you to locate the real Bill Melton, and here is his story, if you'd like to read along with me. I, Bill Melton, was a fighter pilot in World War II. I was a member of the first all-black flying corps known as the Tuskegee Airmen. Our squadrons, also known as the Red Tail Angels, were formed shortly after Pearl Harbor by special order from President Roosevelt. We were a bomber escort. We flew 1,578 missions and never lost one single bomber. We destroyed 409 enemy aircraft and earned 150 distinguished flying crosses. In the air, we were in our glory. But on the ground, we were patronized, shunned, and even hated. In 1945, a group of Tuskegee Airmen walked into an all-white officers' club and were arrested. The resulting case eventually led to the integration of the entire Air Force. I became an historian and am here today to spread our legacy. I'm proud that filmmaker George Lucas is making a movie based on our story called The Red Tail Angels. Signed, Bill Melton. Gentlemen, if you'd like to take a seat. And we will begin the questioning of these brave gentlemen with Ron Masak.
Number 1, what exactly is the job of a bomber escort?
To protect the bombers on what they call penetration into target areas.
Number 2, why were you patronized, shunned, and even hated on the ground?
Because of segregation in the South at the time.
Number 3, where's the officers' club that you walked into and were arrested?
I was in Indiana.
Number 2, the Red Tail Angels. There was another great fighting group in the Second World War. Do you know who they were?
332nd.
Number 1.
Moving along, Polly Bergen.
Number 3, what did you do before you joined the Air Force?
I was a student at the time.
I see. Number 2, were you a flyer before you joined the squadron?
No, I wasn't.
Number 1, were you a flyer?
No.
Number 3, you learned how to fly in the actual Air Force itself?
Yes, I did.
Was there another, number 2, was there another part of any of the armed services that had been integrated at that time?
No.
Number 1.
Moving along now, David Niven Jr.
Number 1, how old were you when you became a pilot in the Air Force?
22.
And number 2, what plane did you fly?
P-51s?
Did you fly only P-51s throughout all those missions, these 400 and something?
That's all I flew.
Number 3, why would you walk into an all-white officers' club?
I felt as though being in the American service, I should have equal opportunities.
Number 1, would that have been an intelligent thing to do? I mean, one figured that maybe you might have been arrested or got into a serious fight at least.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, it was the intelligent thing to do.
All right, number 2, where there's an all-black...
Moving along now, Kitty Carlisle.
Well, I honestly think it was an extremely intelligent thing to do, and I'm very glad you did. Have you written a book, number 1?
I'm working on a book.
Well, number 2, what is the story called? What is it based on? Is it just a story that you told, or you haven't written a book called The Red Tail Angels?
I'm working on the premise for the whole story at the time.
And number 3, how did you get recruited?
I got recruited by recruits coming into the college campus.
Where were you?
And I was down in Mississippi.
Number 2, what college were you in?
San Francisco State College.
And number 1, who is the founder of Tuskegee Institute?
Booker T. Washington.
Thank you. Number 2.
Moving along, and time is up, and it's time now to vote for either number 1, number 2, or number 3. Panel, are you ready to cast your ballots? If we are, Ron, we'll begin with you.
Marvelous answers from all of you, and whoever you are, I do salute you. I think it's wonderful. I watched number 3 nodding like it was him all the time. Every time someone would say something complimentary, he nodded, which threw me off.
Yeah.
Of course.
Which means don't vote for him.
Number 2
Yes,
said
okay.
that there weren't any other integrated units in the Second World War, and I believe there were in the infantry. And I just went with number 1.
Okay. Polly Bergen.
Well, I usually have a lot of silly excuses, but I just found that number one had an enormous amount of dignity, and he struck me as being someone who would not only be a member of the Red Tail Angels, but would also be a historian. So I voted for number one.
Okay. David Niven Jr.
Well, so far that I'm going to be the third one that's going to vote for number one.
Well, then
I
we're
want you to
all
know-
wrong. I mean,
Well,
we
we haven't been right
got anybody
today.
right.
Absolutely,
Well,
but
let's see what Kitty's going to say. I'm going for number one.
Kitty, is it a clean sweep?
I think number one was absolutely wonderful, and he was quite right when he said it was a very intelligent thing to do, and I voted for him, and I hope I'm wrong.
Okay, there you go. The votes are all in. It's all on you, number one. Number two and number three, I apologize if there's a problem here. Now let's find out who the real Tuskegee Airman is. Will the real Bill Melton please stand up? Not a doubt about it. Not a doubt about it. Can I ask you, Mr. Melton, the progress of civil rights today, what's your view of it? 1990.
In retrograde,
It's going backwards. And any advice, anything you could say on that while you've got a forum?
I think education is the key to it.
Okay. Thank you very much, and congratulations on all your achievements. Number two, your real name and occupation.
I'm a computer consultant and a jazz musician,
What do you play?
bass.
Okay. Number three, your real name and occupation.
My name is Harry Morris, and I'm a teacher at John Burrs Junior High School in Los Angeles.
Okay. Well, guys, you didn't make a lot of money today, but you certainly made a lot of impact, and we congratulate you and thank you for coming here. Thank you very much, Mr. Melton. We'll be back to play one-on-one with someone from our studio audience right after this.